Hello once again everyone, this is Sonicals831 and welcome back to another edition of Sunday Night Lights, where we will cover just the 1992 season, because this will be a big season in this timeline. So I will cover the Busch Series, IROC, and the Cup Series just for 1992. Stay tuned for more info at the end of the video. Now before we hop into silly season, there is one big thing I want to talk about heading into the 92 season. This talks about the new marketers and track strategy. As NASCAR charges into the 90s and prepares for the 21st century, they announced their intention to seek proposals for a new major oval track for them to invest in and guarantee a race weekend. A first-of-its-kind strategy similar to expansion teams in other sports. While NASCAR isn't a true national force yet, the potential of the series has caught the interest of many parties across the country, from public development firms to ownership groups of other sports teams. If this plan works out, it could change a lot in the trajectory of the sport's development going forward. Stay tuned at the end of the video, I'll talk more about that. And one more thing before we hop into silly season, here's a look at the schedules for 1992. With that being said, let's jump into some of the changes we have going into 1992. To start things off, Joe Gibbs, legendary NFL coach of the Washington, will start up a NASCAR Winston Cup Series team with Dale Jarrett as the driver. Because Greg Sachs is still in the 18 for Paul Newman's team, Dale Jarrett will drive the number 17 Interstate Battery Chevrolet for Coach Gibbs. Why 17? That is because Darrell Waltrip is not an owner-driver. He is still in the number 11 Ford for Junior Johnson. Also, with Jarrett now with Joe Gibbs' team, Morgan Shepherd takes over the number 21 for the Wood brothers. Defending Daytona 500 champion Eddie Bierschwell will replace Rick Wilson in the number 8 Snickers Ford for the Stavola brothers for 1992. The biggest move of the silly season, however, involved Patty Moyes, as she will make the jump up to the Winston Cup Series with Sabco Racing. Moyes and Felix Sabates were able to get a sponsorship deal with Mattel through their Barbie brand. Now, it may sound stereotypical, but with how marketing was back then in the 90s, it works to promote the brand with a hotshot female race car driver that has gotten even more popular in just the last couple of years. This is also in order to sell Patty Moyes merch with Barbie in hopes to bring in a new demographic into NASCAR and create an even larger fan base. She will pilot the number 45 Barbie Pontiac and be teammates alongside with Kyle Petty. Speaking of the Pettys, the other big story of this silly season is one that has bigger implications on 1993 than 1992. After the greatest career in sports history, Richard Petty has announced he will finally be retiring from full-time racing at the end of 1992. Unlike our timeline, this isn't the end of the road for Richard Petty, as Petty announces he intends to run a few races a year for the foreseeable future with his own team. Richard Petty says that despite struggling the last few seasons, he still wants to race, even if he can't take a full season. Petty also shared that he'll likely focus on short tracks moving forward, and is also interested in entering at new tracks that could go into the future for NASCAR, also to continue to be a part of their history. What does the future have in store for the King? Well, if he wants to catch a miraculous title number 8, he has one shot left in 1992. Other things to note: Phil Parsons is still in the number 1 for Richard Jackson. Jeff Bodine is still driving for Hendrick Motorsports in the number 5 Tide Chevrolet. 50-year-old Dick Trickle is still driving the number 6 for Jack Roush with new sponsor Valvoline. He will also drive some Busch Series races for the team in the number 60 Winn-Dixie Ford. Roush Racing also expands to a second car with Wally Dallenbach Jr. driving the number 16 Keystone Ford. Bill Elliott remains in the number 9 Coors Ford for Melling Racing, since Darrell Waltrip is in the number 11 Budweiser Ford for Junior Johnson. Defending Winston Cup Series champion Davey Allison returns to his father team in the number 12 Mountain Dew Ford, in which they formerly drove Buicks. They will start driving Fords in 1992. The champion from a season before that, Mark Martin, is still in the number 15 Motorcraft Ford for Bud Moore. He will also drive some Busch Series races in a car for Bud Moore as well. Rob Moroso is still in the number 20 for his father's team. Ricky Rudd is back in the number 25 Gatorade Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports, hoping to bounce back after losing the championship late in the season. Jimmy Spencer is still in the number 28 for Robert Yates Racing, and Neil Bonnet still drives for Richard Childress in the number 31. He does scale back to part-time for 1992. Terry Labonte is hoping to improve from last season as he continues to be an owner-driver in the number 44 Kellogg Chevrolet. Tim Richmond continues to drive for Rick Hendrick in the number 51 Exxon Chevrolet. Rich Vogler is still in the 55 after getting a win last season. Bubba Nissen is back in his 59 driving for himself. Rick Mass continues to drive the 66 for Cale Yarborough. Lake Speed and Terry Schoonover continue to drive for Marshall Family Racing. Schoonover has a new sponsor in Purex this season. Ken Schrader has a bit of a new look for 1992, but with the same sponsor in the number 90 Red Baron Ford for Junie Dunleavy. And lastly, Hutch Strickland is back in the 94 for Hagen Racing in 1992. Moving over to the Busch Series, let's start with Patty Moyes' number 45, as it now has a new driver, and thanks to the influence she has brought, she encourages Felix Sabates to sign on Shauna Robinson to take over Patty's number 45. It'll be interesting to see how she does in her first full season in the Busch Series. Grant Adcox continues to drive the 85 in the Busch Series with Danny Marshall in the 83. Ted Musgrave is still in the Busch Series for Sam Ard, but he is eyeing a move to the Cup Series for 1993. Mike Alexander will drive the full season for B.R. DeWitt and Richie Evans, as Evans will also do some part-time racing. Bobby Allison has a Busch car set up for Davey Allison and his younger brother, Clifford Allison. Clifford will run a handful of races in this car after being largely influenced from the 1991 championship run. Bobby Allison stated he would love to have a second Cup car for Clifford in the future. And let's not forget about our defending champion, the young phenom, Jeff Gordon. Reports have said that many top NASCAR Winston Cup teams have talked to Gordon about going to Cup this season, but Gordon said his plan is to run again in Busch for 1992, but there is a high chance he will certainly be in a Cup car for 1993. But the question is, who will he drive for? We'll get to that later. But for now, let's start with highlights from the 1992 NASCAR Busch Series season. We'll start with the season opener at Daytona, as Jimmy Spencer passed Jeff Gordon on the final lap going into turns 3 and 4, but he had to fight hard as coming to the checkered flag, Shauna Robinson was charging on the inside and was just edged out by Spencer as Mr. Excitement wins at Daytona. Oh, what could have been for Shauna Robinson had she had just had another second to get around Jimmy Spencer. Just a couple races later at Richmond, Joe Nemechek, at the time who was leading, got impatient with the lap car of Dave Resendez, and he turns the number 79 car. In the end, however, the race ended with a 3-car battle for the win, with 4 to go as Mike Wallace, driving for Dick Moroso, passes Chuck Bound for the lead, but then a lap later, Bobby Labonte takes advantage from a lap car to take the lead, and Bobby Labonte went on to get the win at Richmond. As the Busch Series made a trip to North Wilkesboro, Jeff Gordon was not missing a beat in 1992, this including one of his highlighted wins, dominating the race and winning at North Wilkesboro. In the 15th race of the season at Illiana, it was an exciting battle in the closing laps between Clifford Allison and Ted Musgrave. Allison did everything he could to get around lap traffic, but Musgrave made the move with 6 laps to go. He then got held up by Troy Beebe coming to the checkers and was just beat by Mike Wallace, who was in the 20 for Dick Moroso. This is Mike Wallace's first career Busch Series win. Drama unfolded at race 26 at Darlington when Morgan Shepherd had the lead with 3 to go but had to pit because he was very short on fuel. This gave Chuck Bound the lead, but then with 2 laps to go, Chuck Bound, as he was leading, tried to squeeze in between a couple of lap cars and takes himself out of the chance to win. What a heartbreaker for Chuck Bound, as Jeff Burton will go on to win with his brother Ward Burton in second. The Burton brothers finished 1-2. The championship battle came down to a tight battle between Jeff Gordon and Joe Nemechek, but in the final few races, it was all Jeff Gordon as he goes back-to-back, and he will once again be the NASCAR Busch Series champion for 1992. Definitely one of the most hyped up drivers so far in NASCAR's history. I have a good feeling that young man's going to be in a cup car. I'm feeling it. But the question is, who will he drive for? Again, stay tuned. We'll talk about that. Before we move over to the Winston Cup Series, I will highlight about IROC as Davy Jones went on to win the IROC Championship. As you see here, him driving at Texas World, which was on the schedule this season. In the 1992 Daytona 500, we had a wreck on lap 39 involving Dick Trickle as he got into Dale Earnhardt, collecting Del McCowart, Bill Elliott, AJ Foyt, and Terry Labonte in the process. With 2 laps to go, Patty Moyes was leading the Daytona 500 in a ride she had to buy out because she did not make the race on speed. But then the field got split up by a slower lapped car of Del McCowart. It was Bubba Nissen grabbing the biggest win of his career, holding off AJ Foyt, Ted Musgrave, and Mark Martin to win the 1992 Daytona 500. This would be Nissen's only win of 1992. 1992 showed to be another exciting season as Terry Labonte ended up winning back-to-back races to snap a winless streak that dates back to the fall Richmond race in 1988. As he edged out Rob Moroso at the line to win at Bristol, he also went on to win the next race at North Wilkesboro. Exciting finish at the first Talladega race as Rusty Wallace passed Greg Sacks on the final lap and won the race in a 3-wide photo finish, edging out 2 lapped cars. Yeah, the guy he had to beat was Greg Sacks. Sorry. Moving on to the Coca-Cola 600, we had a huge pileup up front early in the race as Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Bodine, and Darrell Waltrip get together and create a pileup up front. This leads to Kyle Petty getting his first Cup win since 1987 at the Texas World Road Course as he wins the Coca-Cola 600. Kyle Petty went on to have a very successful 1992. Meanwhile, let's stay on topic with Sapco Racing. Patty Moyes also had some good moments in 1992, including scoring her second career Cup Series victory at the first Dover race. Patty Moyes would go on to finish 16th in the points, but Felix Sabates feels very confident about her moving forward. We had a couple of first-time winners in 1992. Ernie Urban finally got his first career Cup win at Riverside, and the first Michigan race was a huge upset. Mark Thompson scoring a huge upset win, and definitely one of the biggest upsets in recent history. For Neil Bonnet, despite scaling back to running half of the season for 1992, he showed up and ran relatively well most of the time. He showed that he had something left in him as he scored his first Cup win since the 1987 Cup race at Riverside. He won the Fall Charlotte race and then at Texas World. Not only that, but Bonnet also held off a charging Davey Allison and Alan Kowicki to win the 1992 All-Star race. This is his second career All-Star win, as he won it back in 1986. The championship battle was pretty close throughout the season, as it came down to an exciting battle that had about 5 drivers mathematically eligible to win the Winston Cup Championship. Going into the final race of the season at Atlanta, Kyle Petty had a 92-point lead over Lake Speed heading into the race. Harry Gant, Mark Martin, and Alan Kowicki were also in the hunt, but a lot had to happen for things to swing in their direction. In the end, however, it was a rather special moment for NASCAR, as Kyle Petty stayed consistent all race and stayed out of trouble, and while Ricky Rudd did take home the checkered flag, it was Kyle Petty scoring the NASCAR Winston Cup Series championship for 1992. An emotional moment as his father took the checkered flag just ahead of him in his final full-time season. While the King, as I said earlier, still plans to do a little bit more racing in the coming years, he and his son Kyle got to celebrate a very special moment together in post-race. Here's to Kyle Petty, the 1992 NASCAR Winston Cup Series champion. Oh yeah, you were probably wondering about Jeff Gordon, right? Where does he end up? Well, I will say, he did finish 16th in his first Cup start here at Atlanta. As for who he races for, I'm going to have a little fun with this. I will reveal that in a video that will come out tomorrow. That's right, just a day after this video comes out, the plan is to have that video about Jeff Gordon come out. I'm going to make a little special Sunday Night Lights video for that, so stay tuned. Stay tuned for that. I'm really excited about putting this video together, and you'll learn where Wonder Boy will end up. But there is one thing I want to talk about, and this is the big thing that happens in 1992 that changes the course of NASCAR. The Fall Talladega race in 1992 should have been like any other race at the 2.5-mile Superspeedway. However, disaster struck early in the race when Danny Marshall's car broke down, triggering a huge wreck that injured Marshall as well as Joe Ruttman and Rusty Wallace. Ruttman would sit out for the rest of 1992 as well as Marshall. Rusty Wallace would miss the next few races as well as his younger brother Kenny Wallace would drive his car. With that being said, after a lot of discussion on what superspeedway racing will look like, and following this massive wreck and controversy at Talladega, this led to NASCAR making an announcement that could change the very trajectory of the sport's future. Many drivers and teams started voicing their concerns about racing at superspeedways. With that being said, NASCAR announced shortly before the end of the 1992 season, as a result for the continuing dangers and injuries of restrictor plate racing, they will not return to Talladega in 1993. They hope to find a way to return to the track in the future and will coordinate with the track, drivers, and teams to develop a new strategy to do so. NASCAR also announced the intent to move the Firecracker 400 to the road course at Daytona. Though, the Daytona 500 will stay as it is for the foreseeable future, likely testing an improved restrictor plate package in the interest of safety. This shift is truly unprecedented, but NASCAR and all parties involved agreed that stepping back for now is the necessary step to take for the safety of all fans and competitors moving forward. Replacing Talladega's races for 1993 will be Sears Point Raceway, making its NASCAR debut a few years later than in real life, and then a second race at Texas World Speedway in the spring, both of which are currently just one-year deals. As stated, NASCAR will coordinate with officials from Talladega and Daytona, along with the rest of their sanctioning body and competitors, following the Daytona 500 to determine the next steps for the future of superspeedway racing, if there even is a future outside the Daytona 500. It is certain, however, that 1993 will be a season unlike any other in a modern era, with the Daytona 500 being the only superspeedway race. The other reason why things are going to change is because of this. Thanks to the growth of NASCAR, many news outlets across the country reported on proposals and intentions to propose a racetrack. While NASCAR was able to keep most of the official discussions under wraps, reports are that roughly 10 official bids were submitted, and many others interested that couldn't get proposals off the ground. Some of the most common rumors included groups out of Cleveland, Ohio, Kansas City, Boise, Idaho, and more. There were even reports of a group out of Monterrey, Mexico, gaining traction with their proposal. In the end, however, NASCAR finally announced their intent at the 1992 NASCAR Awards banquet. The chosen bid was one for a new fairly large market for NASCAR, with a creative proposal and a lot of passion and funding behind it. Once completed in time for the 1995 season, NASCAR will be headed to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The bid is being made by a group led by Tom Benson, the owner of the NFL's New Orleans Saints, and someone who has made his fortune through Chevrolet dealerships across the Southeast. With a total immediate market of roughly 2 million people in Baton Rouge and New Orleans, the new facility is set to bring major motorsports to Louisiana for the first time ever. Louisiana Motor Speedway will be a new premier short track at a length of 3/5 of a mile, with wide straightaways and corners banked at roughly 15 degrees. It's also designed to host other events at parts of the facility, such as concerts on the front stretch grandstands and conferences in their suite and office building, located right outside the track with a stunning view. At the announcement, Bill France Jr. was quoted saying, quote, "Louisiana is the perfect market for us to enter. Thanks to the perfect balance of familiar geography and fans without a home track within reasonable distance, Tom's work in making sure the track is a truly innovative and world-class facility made it the best option for all parties to pursue. We're currently aiming for a grand opening race weekend in the spring of 1995, and we're really hoping to become the biggest thing to do in the state during the late spring season. Louisiana is currently expected to occupy an April or May race weekend, avoiding conflicts with most of the sports in the area, and they are also pursuing potential opportunities to host IROC, the ASA, and Asphalt USAC events once completed as well. This new venue could play a big role in representing the future of the sport." Okay, that was a handful, right? That was a lot. But that's what I was teasing about when I said 1992 is going to be big, and NASCAR is ready to change forever. By the way, if you're wondering about this racetrack, I need to thank my friend Rose Jam Princess for making this racetrack and sandbox. He's relatively new to making racetracks, but I really like how this turned out. I think he did a fantastic job, and you're going to see it relatively soon. For more information regarding this project, please follow Rose Jam Princess and Jetman999 on Twitter. Here's what I want to talk about. So, the Jeff Gordon announcement will come tomorrow. That is my plan. As I'm producing this, I'm going to make both those videos and churn them out back-to-back days. That's going to be my plan. After that, for Sunday Night Lights, my plan is, unless things change, that next Sunday Night Lights video will cover 1993 to 1995. However, before we get to that, you may be aware that I have another alternate history thing called Divided Ending. I released a video for that back at the start of the new year. Well, we're going to continue that. So yes, next will be Divided Ending. It'll cover 2017 and 2018, and then you'll get Sunday Night Lights 1993 to 1995. Again, I appreciate you guys for all the support, and I'm very thankful that you people enjoy this content. I really am thankful. I wish I can get these videos out quicker and make all the races and just get them done quicker, but the biggest thing, of course, is I have a job and things are really hectic right now because we're short-staffed. So give it time, stay patient. I'll continue making videos as much as I can, and that's the promise I make to you guys. I'm going to try and utilize my Patreon more for sneak peeks and teases and stuff like that. It's $5 a month if you want to support it. Completely up to you. It's there if you want to support it. So besides that, regardless, just thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. There's a lot of exciting stuff that I have planned for this channel. I just need to execute it. So stay patient and it'll come. Thank you guys so much for watching this new video of Sunday Night Lights. I'm Sonic Rules 831, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, everyone.